done.
Midtown Madness, truly a charming and interesting game. There's nothing quite like driving through a bustling Midtown Chicago on a rainy afternoon during 1999 in a yellow Panos Roadster, viewing the sights, appreciating the infrastructure, and crashing into taxis.
What are you doing?
Midtown Madness is a car simulator / racing game released in 1999 by Angel Studios for Microsoft Windows. The game would be followed by 2 sequels. Midtown Madness aimed to simulate the city of Chicago during the time period it was released and to provide players with an open-world recreation of it. The studio would later shift over to a new series with Rockstar Games called Midnight Club, which according to Wikipedia was a reference to the Japanese street racing team with that name. They were apparently infamous for high-speed runs down the Bayshore route on Tokyo's Shoujo Expressway in the late 1990s. Midnight Club 2, the sequel to Midnight Club, offers open-world racing in a larger variety of locations around the world, such as other parts of the US and places in other countries like Paris and Tokyo. I was never really interested in open-world racing games before, but I can't lie, the thought of cruising in a fancy car through a yellow, sunny late afternoon in a sweet, ornate Paris, from roughly 18 years ago, or accelerating in a vivacious sports car through the bustling nights of neon-lit, futuristic Tokyo from roughly 18 years ago, sounds really cool and atmospheric. Plus, according to what I've seen people comment on videos, the games have a story, fitting soundtracks, cool cars, and memorable races. I can safely say I'm pretty intrigued and I don't think their age would stop me from playing these games. Don't get distracted though, right now we're at the baseline of the franchise in good old Chicago. I think the development and inspiration behind video games is really interesting to look at. I like seeing how and why elements in the game came to be. It shows that no matter how niche or small a game is, there's one or multiple creators that have a history. The following statements are from Wikipedia and I couldn't really find any articles or interviews, so this information could possibly be incorrect, but it is most likely correct. The thought of this game first came to be when 2 Microsoft employees were trying to cross the bustling streets of Paris, and they came up with the idea. They proposed their idea of Midtown Madness to Angel Studios, who were apparently hesitant on the idea at first, but ultimately decided to make the game. Apparently the setting of Chicago was chosen because the city was used in many famous car chases and films. The development team even asked residents living in the area to playtest the game to make sure the game was faithful to the location. Unlike a lot of racing games during the time it was released, it was unique in being a game that was more about open world driving instead of having a closed circuit. The project director Clinton Keith said that an open world would make the gameplay more diverse and adds elements of discovery. I personally find this really neat. The game can be a race game by providing directions on which streets you're supposed to drive on and make it feel like a racing circuit, while also being a distinct open world driving game. The game was received pretty well by the general public in reviews, and sold over 100,000 copies in the US a little less than a year after release. I still have the disc of this game, but unfortunately my Windows XP doesn't work anymore, so I had to access this game from a handy little site called My Abandonware, a site where you can download old games. I was able to use the site to download other games I played as a kid on the computer, such as SpongeBob SquarePants Employee of the Month, and Jimmy Neutron vs. Jimmy Negatron. When I first started this game for the first time in nearly 11 years, I was interested in experiencing some of that good old nostalgia, seeing how the game has aged and reliving old memories of me sitting in my room and playing this game on my Windows XP, crashing into cars, driving into the river, and trying to run over pedestrians. Although I have to be honest, I was having second thoughts when I started up the game and this happened. This game has a unique selection of cars and I really like the variety it has. They're more casual cars than sports cars, but I actually like this. It makes it feel more like a modern city. They're based on cars in real life and it replicates the designs. I never got around to unlocking all of the cars. Some of the cars are pretty well known brands, and the developers had to get permission from the companies to include them in their game. I'm not a big car nerd, but if you're into cars, you might like some of the selections that this game has to offer. All of the cars are really neat and fun to drive. You can adjust the weather and time to find an atmosphere that you prefer, so there are some really nice combinations you can make. There are several modes that you can partake in, like racing, timed races, or just casual driving, if you'd call this casual. Before I get into the gameplay, one thing I think is vital to mention is the dialogue. This game has some really memorable and charming lines I still remember from my childhood. Besides the pedestrians, the commentator is really the only element in this game with some form of dialogue, and the commentator nails it. The commentator shows a real appreciation for the city of Chicago. There are nice little jokes in the dialogue, and the introduction always has some sort of charisma to get you excited to drive. If you lose a race or crash though, the commentator can get snarky.
Hey, here's a question I gotta ask. Could you have driven that caddy any worse?
You can never drive bad enough in this game. Overall, it just adds an extra layer of fun to the game and I appreciate it for being there. The gameplay usually starts on a highway with the road to immerse yourself into the bustling city of Chicago. It plays like a typical driving game. You move around using the WASD keys, and there are some options to adjust how your car drives. The game has a nice soundtrack to complement the driving. Seriously, there's some really nice tunes. The songs really fit the mood of driving down the streets. They range from casual to intense and I really like it. I recommend giving it a listen. Driving through the open world of this game really brings back memories. I've always loved the world of this game. I don't always think that having a large open world makes it good, but this game is an exception. I love the freedom and scale this game provides. There's so much to explore and it feels like there's always something new to look for. The tall buildings in the downtown road make it feel like you're, well, downtown. There are a lot of cool landmarks like the airport, the parks, the Chinatown, the white building that I want to say is a museum but I can't be 100% sure. The two ramps, the bridges, the parking lot, the hotels, the stores, even things as simple as the stairs or the plane that flies above the highway all come together to make this game a really unique and interesting experience. A few things I wish they could have added to the open world was tourist attractions and entertainment establishments. Does the game have an accurate replication of Chicago? I'd say yes if you ignore the blocky graphics. I've noticed that a lot of car video games are about high-speed races, competition, but sometimes it's nice to just casually drive in an open city and enjoy the sights. And crash into things. Seriously, why is it so much fun to just go crazy in this game? Also, with the amount of pedestrians, the game reminds you that there are people living in the city. Not that it stops me from going crazy, but I do feel bad for causing so much pandemonium. Imagine some couple in these hotels trying to get it on and then outside they hear, I've been talking a lot about casual cruising, so what about the races? How do they hold up? Well, I like how it provides a larger scale and how it feels more free. You don't feel like you're enclosed in an individual circuit and it feels more fresh and open. You can simultaneously race and enjoy the city. The racing can be fun, but sometimes the difficulty is a bit much and drifting is kind of hard. Another problem I personally had was that the directions were a bit misleading and I found myself struggling to look at the map and know where I'm supposed to go. It's still fun, but it does have its issues. I wouldn't get this game solely for the racing. I think the open city is its strongest point. In all honesty, I really do love this game. Nostalgia could be a big factor, but despite its problem and age, I still like it, and I'm intrigued in the rest of the franchise and what future games the company made. Driving through the city was and still is fun. The high-speed races are still enjoyable. I still think the music in this game is great. I love the little things about this game, and I really do think that the atmosphere this game offers is unlike anything else. Whether it be a snowy morning, snowy night, rainy afternoon, or sun-setting evening, it feels cozy and atmospherical. Some people might say the graphics are insufficient, but of course they would be insufficient. The game was made in 1999, not even high-budget games like Half-Life and Shenmue during that time had graphics that would be exceptional today. I know some people can't play games with low-quality graphics, but personally I don't find the graphics all that much of a hindrance. I think I just kind of get immersed into the world. If you can't play games with older graphics, I would recommend checking out the future titles if you're interested. I really like this game, and after years since playing it, I think I'm interested in seeing what the series becomes after this title. The future games could leave this game in the dust, and if so, I'd say the series did pretty well. Midtown Madness is a unique experience, and I think it is a game worth remembering.